Hello and welcome to Talking Points. I'm Dave Kelly, Director of Advanced Media Production at Cal State Long Beach. Today we're going to talk about discovering your family heritage through the journey of genealogy. My guest today is Hal Horrocks. Mr. Horrocks is a professional genealogist. He is also an author, a teacher, and he's also the past president of the Orange County, California Genealogical Society. Welcome, Hal, and thank you for joining us on Talking Points.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk about this interest in genealogy today. We know that there are several television shows on PBS. We also see a lot of advertising over the last 5 to 10 years from companies like Ancestry.com, and there's another company called Me in 23, which is a DNA testing service. All of these companies have led to an uptick in the popular culture in terms of looking into our ancestry. So what are the reasons why, beyond just participating in a popular trend, what are the reasons why people are looking up that family tree these days?
Curiosity has a lot to do with it. In many cases, like Mom said that we were royalty, Grandma said that we were settlers and did a homestead in Oklahoma, and it's just interest in what my history is, because you as each individual is, your ancestors are you. All their likes, dislikes, traits are all passed down to you, and how you use them. It's an interesting discovery.
Well, so we're trying to trace down some of that family lore that you were talking about. Right. We are interested in how our ancestors lived and so on, but there are some other benefits as well, such as in some rare cases, financial benefits. Right. If you're proving paternity or inheritance, or maybe you want to prove that you're a member of a particular Indian tribe that can share the proceeds from casinos and that kind of thing. What about in terms of health benefits? Go ahead.
Very positive. If you go into a new doctor, they will ask you what your family history is for diseases and items like this. And it's now becoming more and more prevalent in the medical community. As a personal experience, about 10 years ago now, I had a small chest pain, so I just drove myself over to a fire station, and 45 minutes later I was having 2 stents put in my left ventricle. And I'm saying, I'm fine. No, you're not. You're having a heart attack. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. So the heart surgeon came out and he said, you have a gift from an ancestor. I looked at him, and even, I'm in ICU, and I said, what do you mean? He says, every artery in your body is wide open except for your left ventricle. And it rang a bell. So I went home, looked at my grandfather's death certificate. He died from left ventricle failure. Mm. So, yes, now if I were smart back then, I would have had my left ventricle checked so I didn't have to go through that. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's very important. Cancers, other types of diseases are now becoming more and more relevant with DNA testing also.
And so if people in the viewing audience are concerned about a particular genetic problem that existed in the past, maybe it's worthwhile to look into
Absolutely.
that a bit more and then perhaps seek treatment before it becomes critical.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's talk about people that are determined to get started but haven't done anything yet. What's the first thing that they should do?
First thing they should do is sit down and write down everything they know, everything about themselves, where they were born, time, date, their parents, everything they know about their father and their mother, and everything they know about their grandfather on both sides and their grandmother on both sides. Then get what we call a pedigree chart, and that is just list the names and the relevant data, birth dates, marriage dates, etc. Fill that out the best you can, and then you realize what holes are missing. And then seek help. And you can do that in many different ways. Right now, because of the advent of the internet, we have a lot of free sites available, and there are subscription sites also. But just go and do some searching. Do Google search on your ancestors. And you'll be might surprised what you find. I know you'll be surprised what you find.
So as we get into this process of looking at various sites and checking out information and coming up with different sources of information, what if there are discrepancies in birth dates, in dates of death, numbers of siblings or numbers of children, that kind of thing. How do you resolve those discrepancies, and what are the most reliable sources?
Happens all the time. Especially in the 1800s, a lot of times people didn't know when they were born. You'll see that on census records. And census records are the best way to sort of do an outline of your family's history. It's just a movement through time every 10 years, from 1790 up to what's 1940 is the latest census that's available online because of a 72-year hold on census records. So if you do that, then you'll have discrepancies. You can't help but have discrepancies. A father and mother may have, on one census, have 5 kids. The next census, they have 15 kids. And it happens. They didn't have television back then. They did. They had a lot of children, right? They had a high mortality rate in many cases, so people will drop out. If you're out on the prairie, right, in a farm, you're not going to have any written records. Family Bibles are the best way there. So you'll have a lot of discrepancies. You'll have on dates and times. It's just the records were not available.
All right, well, let's talk about, in terms of prioritizing, what sources seem to be more reliable than others. Okay, so if we're comparing, for example, let's talk about the basic ones: the birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate. You mentioned census records,
right.
Also tax records and military records.
Right.
Which ones are the most reliable?
Well, the most reliable one is the birth certificate, because both the mother and the doctor were there. Mm-hmm. Right, and it's written down.
We have witnesses.
We have witnesses, right. Though very few, I have seen some lies on who the father is in many.
And we can understand why.
And we understand why, right? Or who's the father? Refuse to say. Okay. So marriage certificates are reliable, but I've also seen them lied on. One of my ancestors, second cousins, did that. Death certificates are probably the least reliable, because in many cases the death certificate, if somebody dies older age, they may not have any relatives around, and the person writing it down says, I don't know who the father was, I don't know who the mother was. Mm-hmm. So, and really not sure of the name. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the records didn't start as we know them until the early 1900s. Mm-hmm. Some back in the on the East Coast, more in the late 1800s.
And there's also the source of tax records. Explain that for a moment.
Okay, tax records are excellent. Well, census records, as I said, are most important to trace your family through every 10 years, sort of an outline. Tax records are probably more reliable because the tax man rarely missed what the census taker missed. Mm-hmm. So just like today.
Okay, what about military records?
Yes. Military records are important, but they're sort of an outline too, unless they'll give you usually when. It depends on the conflict too. But a lot of people went into the military under assumed names. Mm-hmm. Not so much in the United States, but in Europe. It happened in my family.
Mm. Well, let's talk about also, when we look back, oftentimes we'll see spellings that occur differently from one record to the next.
Right.
Same person, we think, or
Mm-hmm.
we're pretty sure, mm-hmm. but the names are spelled differently. Why is that, and does spelling even matter?
Spelling doesn't matter until the early 1900s, because people didn't know really how to spell their name. If you look at Smith, which should be easy, right? Mm-hmm. There are 6 different ways to spell Smith. And because it comes from what country you're from. It could be Smythe and S-M-Y-T-H. So it doesn't count. You've got to do it through other things like ages and siblings and spouses and things like that.
Is it more based on the phonetic sound of
Yes,
the name?
It's all phonetic.
Okay, and let's talk about Ellis Island, because there is I'm going to call it a myth,
right.
that the folks at the government officials at Ellis Island were changing people's names just because they wanted to anglicize the names and so on. That's not true.
There was not a proven record that a name was changed at Ellis Island, mm-hmm. because the people at Ellis Island never wrote any names down. The manifests from the ships were given to the people at Ellis Island, and all they did was check off the name as they came through. So if the name was changed, it was changed at the point of exit.
And people did change their names.
Yes.
But they did that for their own reasons. What were some of those reasons?
Some of the reasons were a lot of the middle European countries, very hard to speak unless you're from that country. And a lot of naturalization records, you'll see the person's name as he came into the country, but then on there it'll say this person from this point on wants to be known as, which is the more Americanized.
Okay, well, let's assume that we've managed to navigate through some discrepancy in records.
Right.
We've resolved the issue of names being spelled differently over time.
Right.
We've gotten through all the obstacles that you normally encounter. Now we're getting to the point where it seems like I can't find any more. And I want to actually go over the pond, over to Europe, and find out what happened in Europe with my ancestors there. But I just seem like I've hit a wall. And I know you've talked about a block wall.
Block wall, right.
That people hit.
Right.
So in terms of hitting a block wall, is it time to call in a professional genealogist?
It might be. It depends on on your knowledge. Let's use Germany as an example. A lot of German immigrants into the United States through the years. In Germany, were little fiefdoms, and you couldn't even get married if you didn't own land in a lot of them. You couldn't even move from one town to the next without permission. So you've got to know what types of records are available, which are totally alien to anything that we have here in the United States. So you've got to learn about what's available during that time frame, and then if you can't figure it out, get a professional genealogist either here that knows German records or over there, and there's a lot of ways to do that. Thank heavens to the internet.
Well, we only have about a minute before we go to the break, but I just want to cover another area of detail, and that is going back into Europe, since we've been focusing on that right now. How far can you go back in Europe? I know that in England there are parish records that go back to the 1500s.
Right.
Pretty much the same in, what is it, France and Italy, I think. Right. Finland about 1600s. Right. And in Germany, you can go back as far as the 1300s.
Yes.
And so as far as those time frames, we had a war. We had a couple of wars. Yes. We had World War I, and we had one that was even worse in World War II in terms of a lot of buildings and churches in particular, with church records that were destroyed as a part of the war.
Public records.
Public records.
Yeah. Right.
So in order to find out if we can go all the way back to the 1500s or even 1300s in Germany, do we have to win the record lottery as well as the genetic lottery in this case?
A lot of times you do, and you won't know that until you go into and research that particular area in Germany or France or Belgium or wherever it might be, to find out what records are available in that area.
Okay. Now, one last thing before we go to the break. I understand that if you're from Asia, certain parts of Asia, such as China, perhaps South Korea and Japan, again, if records weren't destroyed during a wartime situation, you can go back pretty far. What about China? How far can you go back?
I saw one that was dated about 1400 BC.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So they did a lot of accurate record keeping in those days.
Yes. Right.
That's impressive.
Right.
Okay, we have to take a break now.
Okay.
When we come back from the break, we'll continue this discussion about family history and genealogy. Stay tuned.
Is law school in your future? A degree in history would be the perfect major for a student going in that direction. Perhaps you like historic preservation, or maybe government work in a federal, state, or local level. They're the largest employers in the nation, and they are looking for people with that kind of degree. The opportunities are endless with a degree from Cal State Long Beach.
Welcome back to Talking Points. I'm Dave Kelly, and my guest today is Hal Horrocks. Hal, before we went to the break, we were talking about how far back we can go with records. We know that in Asia, in countries like China, you can go way back, even before the current era.
Right.
However, in Europe, it's a different story. We had established that you can go back about 1500, maybe as early as 1300 in Germany, and then the trail goes cold. I once witnessed a television interview where a woman claimed that she could trace her family ancestry back to Julius Caesar. And I had to suppress a little bit of a laugh, I must admit.
True.
Any truth to that? Is it possible to do that?
It would be difficult because there are no records to take you back to Julius Caesar. I had one person actually come up and tell me he had actually traced him back to Adam and Eve. I'm going, that's a really good trick. No, you can't. It's just not records-wise. And genealogists have got to rely on the paper trail. And then in some cases now the DNA trail also. But we don't have Julius Caesar's DNA. So we can't test it to see what's there. So no.
All right, well, let's talk about that for a moment in terms of DNA being a supplement to the paper trail. I'm going to assume you're going to say the paper trail is the most important, and then when you have the paper trail established, you use the DNA to confirm that?
The DNA will either confirm or deny the paper trail. One example, I have one of my clients. We were block wall mid-1800s in Illinois because of a very popular name. So I told him to get a DNA test. He did, and we actually broke through the block wall and took it back to the early 1700s in Virginia. But you can only do that through DNA. There were too many Harrises, right? And one friend of mine who was also a professional, her husband, sworn Spanish all the way back to Spain, did a DNA test, 100% Native American. Okay, so, it prove and disprove, help or hinder, all right, but it should be done. You should do a DNA test.
All right, well, let's talk about the purpose of genealogy other than just finding out what our family roots are. It's also being able to explore the stories of the people that lived before us and what their experiences were. And it's really the stories that become the most compelling, especially for younger people. If we're trying to pass on this heritage of looking up the family tree, the stories are the things that will motivate the younger generation. So how do we keep those stories alive and pass them down without embellishing, which is common. People tend to embellish as the story gets longer, and keeping to the truth of the matter.
You need to keep the truth in their time frame, not what we are today. If you're talking about an ancestor from the Revolutionary War period, you must talk to them or look at the history of that time frame. You got to realize there were 2.5 million people in the 13 original colonies. I think you have more than that in the city of Long Beach, or close to it. I know Orange County's got more than that. You can't equate. You've got to get in the mindset of what happened in that time frame. Not what Hollywood may say it is, but do some research. Go back to some of the original stuff. Don't do it on how we perceive our political correctness today, because it does not apply to what your ancestors went through. You might be really surprised and come up with a really great story, or one that you'll go, oh no, not really. Yes, really. Right. But that's history. The good, the bad.
And we can't really, unless we want to be George Orwell, we can't change the past in terms of the history. And that's a really important point, because a lot of people go into genealogy bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as they say, and they expect to find all these wonderful stories and all of these great revelations about what their family members did. Sometimes it's not so pretty when you look back.
No, it's not.
And you're going to see the warts and all, as they say. Now, let's stay on that topic for a moment, and political correctness and people wanting to whitewash things or make things seem better than they were, or to ignore certain things. How much commitment to the truth? And I'm going to think you're going to say 100% commitment to the truth.
More than that.
Okay.
All right. Don't lie, because you're only lying to yourself. You can't do that. You cannot be politically correct and be a good genealogist. Period. Can't happen. All right. You've got to get to the truth. You know, if you come run across that one of your ancestors was a slave owner. Okay? It was what it was. Don't judge them by what our feelings are today. All right. It's bad for you because you're trying to rewrite your history. Political correctness killed over 100 million people in the last century. All right. Don't do that. All right. Don't do that to yourself and to your family, because the story is most important. The numbers are fine, the birth, the death, the marriage, and all this kind of stuff. But how did your ancestor live? Because you find that out, you find an awful lot about yourself.
And along the same lines, we don't want to be too squeamish either, because we're going to find out that there's illegitimacy in our backgrounds and all kinds of things that we hadn't anticipated.
In genealogy, we call that a non-paternal event. It happened a lot.
Okay. Yeah, and we see evidence of that as we look back.
Right.
Okay, well, as we're moving forward with this information that we're identifying, we also have to we want to be truthful. We're not going to sugarcoat anything, but we also have to be a little careful with how we reveal that in terms of living relatives.
Yes.
If we have living relatives, what are some things we need to keep in mind?
Be truthful, but use a little class. All right. If you're going to write a story, a family story, a living relative, don't embellish it to the negative side. All right. But don't go to the positive side either. Just use a little common sense, actually. Okay.
And if what we're talking about involves things that could be difficult information in terms of health, genetics, other kinds of issues, we have a responsibility to not publish everything that we know.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. It goes down to it's personal space and personal information. If you know, a relative, you find out if your family has some form of medical situation that's gone on for decades, don't publish that. Let your family know about it, but don't publish that. That's privacy stuff.
Right, and that leads us to the internet again.
Right.
The internet is a great tool. It's allowed us to look into all kinds of sources of information from everywhere. As you mentioned, if you just Google your name or your ancestors' names, you're going to find a lot of things that come up. But we want to be aware that if we publish anything, you'll never be able to pull it back. And it's going to exist out there, and somebody's going to pick it up and it'll be there forever. What are the rules about the internet and publishing as far as you're concerned?
I haven't seen any.
Okay.
Okay. I published my own website, put over 1,000 images on there of all my research. And not on Ancestry or any of the other subscription sites. I did my own website, and within 3 weeks, most of that information was already on Ancestry and some other sites, and I did not get credit for it. And I was upset at first. I mean, I spent a lot of hours in that, right? A lot of years. And I'm going, wait a minute, I know that research is right, so why not have it correct? Have it published. And I said, get over it. Stuff's going to get either borrowed or outright stolen. Get over it.
Right, and also you want to be careful when you're looking at the internet and looking at stories about ancestors. You may find that some of that isn't true.
No.
And then it gets perpetuated. So that's, again, back to truthfulness. You want to make sure that what you're publishing is true because you know somebody else is going to pick it up and repeat it, and then it's going to get repeated multiple times.
If you go on to the internet, you're going to find a lot of very bad genealogy. You're going to find people that are name collectors, not genealogists. If you go on and look at somebody's tree and they've got 250,000 people in their tree, they're not a genealogist, they're a name collector. Right? And there's a lot of those people. They don't care about if it's right or wrong. You have to, as a genealogist, you've got to build. You start with yourself, you go to, as I said earlier, build your own tree. Use that stuff as clues. Be a Sherlock Holmes. Get original records whenever possible. Right. So, yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about available sources of information. We've been talking about that already. Many of them are free.
Yes.
Anyone can access them online, or you can go to locations and find the information at county courthouses or at libraries and things of that nature.
Right.
There are some services that charge
Yes.
for what is public information.
Yes.
Why would I pay, and how are those companies justified in charging for information that is available for free otherwise?
You have a county courthouse in Mecklenburg, Kentucky. There's a bunch of information there. You could get on an airplane and you could go to Mecklenburg County, Kentucky. Or a company like Ancestry or Family Search can go in there with scanning information and spend literally a year going through and scanning all the relevant information. Then, once the information is on there, they have to what we call index it so that you can search for it, all the names and dates and everything else that are relevant to that particular document. That costs a lot of money. All right. That's why you pay, is for people like Ancestry. I think has last I heard 10 different groups going around the world scanning this information. That costs money.
Somebody has to do the work.
Somebody has to do the work.
And if I haven't done it personally, somebody spent time on it.
Right.
Okay, let's end on a discussion of joining a genealogical society or a group in your local area. Right. Why is that helpful?
Because you've got people that have been doing it for a lot longer than you have. And we enjoy having new people come in, ask them, help them, guide them in the proper ways to research. It's most important. Otherwise, it can get overwhelming extremely rapidly.
And why not rely on the expertise of others that have been involved in this a lot longer?
Exactly.
Hal, we've run out of time, unfortunately, but I want to thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us on this edition of Talking Points. Join us again soon for the next episode. Until then, I'm Dave Kelly. Have a nice day.